Hi everyone, James from BitPay here. I'm here with David Wachsman from Wachsman Group. Wachsman is one of the leading PR and marketing firms in the blockchain space. They had a great deal to do with Consensus, where we are right now. Thanks for joining us, David.
Thanks so much for having me.
So Wachsman is, as I mentioned, one of the leading firms in PR and marketing in this space. What made you decide to enter the blockchain world? How was it unique for you coming from the background you came from?
Well, so it was a total luck and happenstance that I happened to meet the CEO of a Bitcoin exchange a little over 5 years ago in a bar in New York. Previously, I led day-to-day for a boutique PR agency with no specialty. And what happened was, in short order, I figured out that this technology was unique, but more importantly, the people endeavoring in this technology were brilliant. And so I invested a little bit of time and energy into figuring out what was going on, and I saw that there was this kind of glaring hole. There was no New York, Manhattan, high-end based public relations agency focusing on what I called back then the Bitcoin industry, because that's all it was. And there wasn't a lot of money in the space, but I thought it was worth it anyway as an intellectual challenge. And I got very lucky. Right place, right time, and we've become the largest in the world by about, I think, 3 or 4 times.
That's brilliant. So for you, with the clients you're working with, all throughout the crypto space, the blockchain space, and the Bitcoin space, what are some of the biggest challenges in corporate communications or marketing that Waxman solves for them?
Well, one of the great problems is, within blockchain, there's lots of brilliant engineers. Those engineers build great software. But great software, A, doesn't sell itself, and B, it's very hard to communicate what's really unique, the selling points, to potential customers, to clients, to partners. It's actually very hard to do that in a way that's clear. And so when you actually hear some of these brilliant founders talk, if you're willing to give them enough attention, you're going to go and see the brilliance in their ways. But people have short attention spans, and reporters are very, very busy. So in order to get a reporter's attention and trying to communicate a very complicated technology, you need to do it in a deliberate way, really understanding the way the reporters currently work, understanding they're already understanding their beat. So this way what you can do is you can deliver them a potential story for their examination that is credible, that's unique, that's potentially newsworthy, which means that they may or may not, but hopefully will, publish a story on you. That's a whole lot of ifs there, if you heard that right.
Yes.
Which is why any PR agency, Waxman included, strikes out the vast majority of the time. And I think that's what a lot of founders don't understand.
Yeah.
It's all earned media, there's no pay for play. And that means you're going to miss more often than you hit.
So for many people, PR is a black box just as much as developing a new blockchain is. So could you tell me about a story you're really proud of that Waxman helped place, and maybe walk me through the process of how you worked with the journalists, how you developed the story with the company, and how ultimately you got the news out to the world?
Well, let me take a different angle. Okay. I think one of our proudest moments was working hand in hand with Ned Scott and Dan Larimer when Steam had experienced a hack about 2 weeks after we publicly launched the blockchain. That was a harrowing endeavor, and the story is a little bit crazy. So what happened was, Steam in around May 1, which was Consensus of 2016, it launched Steemit.com. And they weren't actually giving out any points. It was kind of like fake internet points like Reddit Karma, up until the beginning of July. And then on July 4, the Steam blockchain activated. And more or less, a full year's supply of Steam at the time was allocated to the Steam holders. And the market cap was $13 million at the time, and so more or less $1.3 million worth of Steam was allocated algorithmically to all the users on the Steam platform. Well, here's what's interesting. This was the first time that anyone had ever experienced something like this. All their posts were suddenly meaningful. Their content that they created had value. And so market interest went insane, and reporters couldn't get enough of this. And I remember being flooded on inbounds. And the market cap rose from 13 million to near $400 million, which back then was stratospheric, in the span of about 2 weeks. It was incredible. Unfortunately, there were bad actors out there. Yeah. And if it were not for the extraordinary technical prowess of Larimer and his tech team, and working hand in hand with Ned Scott, I'm not sure what would have happened, but what I will say is this: Steam continues to be a leading blockchain. They've built really extraordinary tech that many other companies have tried to mimic, and I feel proud for helping preserve just a little bit of what they had, because they had built something so incredible, and it would have been a shame for much of it to come tumbling down with bad messaging.
It's so important to manage crisis communications well, especially in this space. It moves so fast, and I've seen it firsthand. Finally, before we head out here, any messages for the companies here at Consensus or companies out there watching about the importance of PR or just communications in general? What is one piece of advice you would give that most companies maybe aren't considering, and maybe most marketing firms aren't giving either?
Well, what I'd say is, first, eat your own dog food. So for instance, we accept Bitcoin through BitPay at Waxman because we believe in the technology and we believe in our partner companies. That's one. Two, make sure that what you have to deliver is actually newsworthy. Most companies, most founders, They think that whatever they've been working on must be interesting to other people because it's interesting to themselves. Try to take an outsider view and realize where your announcement falls up against everything else that's being delivered now. Sometimes just talking with just a sober person, essentially, that's otherwise in the industry is a good way to have a gut check and figure out, is this worthy of making a splash? If it's not, what can I do to make this more newsworthy? Who can I partner with? What can we add on? What can we change so this way it does have an impact that's going to make your business succeed? And I think that founders in this industry, perhaps more than any other, need to realize that use case is what really matters. Theory and technology is not sufficient, certainly not anymore.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree more. Thank you, David, so much for joining us here at Consensus. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
My pleasure.
David, good luck.
Thanks.